I'm pleased to welcome Gary Sinese back to the program, a friend of the program for many years. Gary, it's good to see you. It has been a long time. And while the rest of us spent a year doing with politics, you had to deal with the loss of your son. And you did that by bringing his music to the public. And your part two is coming out now. Let's assume our new affiliates have no idea what we're talking about, Gary. Tell them what we're doing here.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Hugh, and featuring some of the music. My son, Mac Sinese, had a very, very serious and rare cancer that he fought for about 5.5 years, and he passed away January 5th of this year. Right before he died, one of the last things he did was he was a musician, and because of the cancer fight, he had to kind of tuck that away, and he wasn't able to play drums anymore, and he was disabled by the cancer. But early last year, he said to me, "Dad, there was a piece of music that I wrote in college that I never finished, and I think I'd like to finish it." And that was a piece called Arctic Circles, and that began an entire album's worth of music that came out earlier this year. It Mac finished it, just weeks before he passed away, with a buddy of his, Oliver Schnee, and they together put this album together called Resurrection and Revival, Mac Sinese Resurrection and Revival. It came out earlier this year. As Mac wanted, the proceeds from that record all go to the Gary Sinise Foundation to help our veterans. And then after he passed away, I started looking through his files, and I found all kinds of additional music that he had written. And not wanting to leave that on his Dropbox file or on his laptop, I called up Oliver and I said, "I think we have another project here. I want to do another record, a part two of Resurrection and Revival." And we've done that. It's a double album of music that Mac wrote. Some of it he composed all the way back to college days. And the piece that you were showing there is called Waltz for Addicts. That is a piece that he wrote in college, his final year of college. It's a music video there that lives on Mac Sinese YouTube. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. He actually wrote it right before he wrote Arctic Circles.
Oh,
So both those pieces are just
Gary,
beautiful.
I want people to understand. I am afraid of very few things. I am afraid of losing a child or a grandchild. I think it would break me. And I have watched you this year uh, purpose your grief into the foundation and the memory of Mac and the music. Is that, and I know people have had lost children before. It's so hard the first year. It's going to be your first Christmas without Mac, right? It's going to be your first New Year's without Mac. How hard has this been, and how did you do it?
Well, managing the emotions is, it's a daily a daily challenge. I think, for me, Hugh, the fact that Mac left all this music, it was somewhat of a gift. It was like finding a treasure box of beautiful music, and it's given me this sort of project to work on, in his honor and in his memory. I've been spending, this entire year working on this to bring this to life. There are 19 compositions on the record. And of course, I wish that he was here to, to witness the fact that his music was coming to life in this way. There are music videos that we've made of the recording sessions that we had this past summer of some of the music. Um, there's even buddies of Mac that I brought out from USC. He'd gone to USC with a bunch of pals. He was in the music program at USC, had a bunch of pals in that program, and I asked them to come out and actually play on one of the songs that is on this new record. It's actually the last song that Mac wrote last year in his hospital bed. He continued to try to persevere through all these challenges, and it was very, very difficult. And of course, it's very difficult to, just missing him daily and by the minute. But now we get to share
That
this
that
beautiful legacy of
you're
music that he left.
you're kind of working with him. after he gone, and that's a very unusual opportunity, but it's also an unusual difficulty. And has that been better for you or harder for you to get to work with him as you grieve?
Well, I found a lot of this music, Hugh, and I had heard some of it, but there were a bunch of compositions that I hadn't heard before. He just wrote them and tucked them away in his files. And so, of course, when I'm discovering this music, I wish that I had known about it so I could ask him about certain compositions, where they were coming from, where the ideas came from, where the titles of the music came from. There's one piece he wrote in college called Angel's Theme, and we had a little puppy named Angel. He was close with this little puppy, and
Ah,
Angel was attacked by a coyote in Calabasas, California, and we lost the dog. I wonder if Angel's Theme was written with the little puppy in mind. I don't know. I wished I could have asked Mac these questions, but yeah, I feel like he's right on my shoulder. And thankfully, he had a buddy, Oliver Schnee, who he worked with on the first record, and I engaged Oliver to come in and work on the second record as well. And he's helped develop some of the music, expand some of the orchestral compositions that Mac had written for my foundation. Um, and it's just given me a lot to do this year, and I really needed that. So thank you, Mac, for leaving me this music to discover and then to bring out and share with the world. And of course, as the proceeds from the first album, the vinyl, go to the Gary Sinise Foundation, we're going to do that with the second one. He designed the cover. He designed the back cover. We're keeping all those designs, and all we're doing on the front cover of the vinyl for the second record is putting Resurrection and Revival Part Two.
who um, who is part of his band? I know Oliver Schnee and his story. You and I have talked about young Mr. Hayes and the connection, but who's part of the band?
Well, the final song that Mac wrote, and the video for that song is called Quasi Love. Uh, I know the pronunciation is quasi, but Mac, I found this voice memo in his phone when I started looking through his phone and his iPad and all these things. And I found this music that he'd written, and I found him singing into the voice memo on his iPhone the melody for this song. And he wanted to call it Quasi, not Quasi. So it's Quasi Love. And I brought all these buddies out that he had played with in high school, his guitar player, first band in high school. Jake Hayes was a buddy that, Robert Hayes and I are friends, and we introduced our sons together, and they went to work together. Mac was an excellent drummer, and Jake is a great guitar player and a singer and a songwriter, and they started writing songs together. I brought Jake out to be a part of this, and I asked his drumming roommates. He had a room full of drummers that all stayed
Oh,
together. It
oh,
was
oh my.
Mac and three other drummers. I brought them all out, so they're all on the record, and also the gal who actually wrote the screenplay for the movie that was made after Mac wrote Waltz for Addicts. That inspired an animated short that they did in their final year at college. It lives on the YouTube channel, Mac Sinese YouTube, called Luna and Lars. And I brought Leah Woodward out as well. She wrote the script for that. They were very good friends. So having them there as a part of it was just, I mean, it was incredible to have all his pals be a part of this new record.
I'm sure they loved it, but it's a wonderful thing. I want the audience to know about the Gary Sinise Foundation. New listeners, they don't know how long you've been at this. You've been at this since we went to war after 9/11, and you've purposed the Lieutenant Dan Band to serve our troops everywhere. We're still at war. I mean, American troops are still under fire, and our wounded still need help. How goes the foundation, Gary Sinise?
The foundation's in its 14th year now. I launched it in 2011 after several decades of working with our veterans. But after September 11th, I just went full on. supporting a lot of other military charities and veteran charities, first responder organizations, and then in 2011 launched the Gary Sinise Foundation. We've raised over $500 million in the last 14 years and deployed that to many multiple programs, helping people, helping our Gold Star families, the families of our fallen, helping our first responders, providing entertainment, building homes for our wounded. We do all kinds of things at the Gary Sinise Foundation because that's kind of what I was doing before I had the foundation. I was supporting in multiple ways and just wanted to give back to those who were serving our country post 9/11. I had been working with Vietnam veterans going back to the 80s. And then after Forrest Gump, I started working with our disabled veterans because I played the wounded veteran, Lieutenant Dan. And then the turning point for me into a full-on mission of action was September 11th, 2001, and what happened to us on that day. And that's turned into a multi-program organization that is operating full speed all the time. You can learn about it at GarySineseFoundation.org. There's a great story about Mac there. He worked for the foundation when in 2017 he came to work for the foundation. 2018, unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer. And by the end of 2019, he was unable to continue. But one of the things he did, Hugh, if I could mention, is right before he was unable to continue with the foundation, he launched a podcast for the Gary Sinise Foundation. 2 audio podcasts, one with our videographer, Kip Perry, who's followed me around for years, and then one audio podcast with me. And then the challenge of fighting cancer became too difficult for him to continue. But after he died, we decided to resurrect that podcast in his honor. And that is right there on the Gary Sinise Foundation website. We built a studio for him, and it's just beautiful to be able to honor Mac that way.
I have put out on my X the link to the Gary Sinise Foundation explanation of Resurrection and Bible Part 2. Remember, all proceeds from this go back to the foundation which serve our veterans. Thank you, Gary. God bless you and your family and the memory of Mac. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about it.